let's begin. So the Maamar Shabbos Parshas bahar-בחוקותי mevorchim achodesh Sion h'tשכ. So the Maamar is on the last pasuk of the Haftarah. Begins Refoeini Ve'arfא, heal me Hashem and I'll be healed. V'ivashea, save me and I'll be saved. Kisi lasiota, for you are my praise. Already in order 1, I don't know if you see it, you have to scroll down probably to see it. There's a note from the Rebbe. This is not Muga, but the Rebbe saw all the Memorim, and it's not formally edited, but so that's interesting instruction that the Rebbe says to them that you uyin divrei maschal zeh d'shnas tov reish ches tzadik. See, with respect to this Maamar, the Maamar beginning with these words of the Frierdiker Rebbe from 1939, which I don't have, didn't learn, but certainly I will, God willing, because he instructs us to do that, so it's going to help in understanding the Maamar. Okay, but tzarich lahav, we have to understand ma keif laloshin Refoeini ve'arfã. What's the double expression? Heal me and I'll be healed. And likewise, v'ivashea, save me and I'll be saved. The Zohar asks this question. The Zohar says, Kivin da'amar Refoeini Hashem ma ve'arfã. Since he asks Hashem, heal me, so it's obvious. What does he add? And I'll be healed. Hashem will heal me, he'll be healed. Kivin da'amar, and the Zohar continues, Hishieni, save me, mao, what does he add? And then vivasheh, I'll be saved. So the Zohar answers as follows. Vini bezohar mevuar. The Zohar explains the whole asvos da alma beyod de kutchebricho. All healing in the world is in the hands of Hashem. Aval, however, ismin hoin al yoda de shlicha. There are healings that come through an agency, through a shliach. Ismin hoin, and there are healings, refuas. The lo yismastu beyoda de shlicha. They were not handed over to the hands of a shliach. The Zohar continues, ve'in on this master beyoda de shlicha. Those healings that are handed over come to the agency of a shliach. Asvos inun, the taka healing, avol zimnin mishadrin. But sometimes they are reversible. The healing doesn't last. But this which the Eibishter heals, never revert. With respect to his healing, this is a healing that has no bad or sickness at all. And that's the reason why the Zohar concludes the double expression. We're asking Refoeini Hashem. We want the healing to come directly from you, from Hashem, ve'arfã, and I'll be healed. Vadai b'lei kitruga klal. It's a certain and absolute and enduring healing without any kitruga accusation that could reverse it. So that's the answer of the Zohar. However, we still need to understand, because achadayin tzarich lahavin b'negiyah lekeif laloshin, we still have to understand what appears to be a repetition. It would appear. If he's saying Hashem heal me, it's understood. The request is that Hashem be the healer. That's what it's saying. And not through a shliach. And certainly that would be self-understood, a perfect healing and a permanent one. So still, why the need to then state, and I'll be healed? That's surely a given, since it comes Refoeini Havaya. All right, so he brought his answer from the Zohar, but we still have to understand, even after the Zohar's answer. The pasuk concludes, because you are my praise. This is the reason why heal me. Because you are my praise, therefore I'm asking, what's the kesher? What's the connection? What does it mean? Because you are my praise, therefore Refoeini Havaya. So in summary, basically it's the repetition in the pasuk, heal me Hashem and I'll be healed. Surely I'll be healed if Hashem heals. Notwithstanding the Zohar's answer, that when the healing comes directly from the Eibishter, it's unconditional and it's permanent. Whereas healing through a shliach, sometimes it's a healing, but it may not last. But akolponim, we're still left with a question because that surely is also obvious. If we're asking Refoeini Havaya, then for sure it's permanent. Why is it stated? Answer, or beginning of the answer. Yeah. And the matter is as follows. Just who's the iPhone? It doesn't say a name. Who's the iPhone? Who's hiding behind the iPhone?
It's Yankee.
It's Yankee. You're the iPhone. Okay, good. Good to see you. I was asking where you are. We have Baruch Hashem another Talmud. Okay. God knows we need healing. The matter is as follows. The Hinde Apostle Refoeini. This pasuk Refoeini is pasuk in Yirmiyah. So Bo behemshech mashakol savel minda. It comes behemshech to what the Navi says before. A few psukim earlier, and he chastises, he rebukes the Yidden, and he says, "Ki ozvu mekoir mayim chayim esavaya." They abandoned the source of living waters. Havaya, for broken pot sheds, broken vessels, etc. So it's understood. So the hemshech now. What follows from that is heal me. So it's understood. So the request, heal me, Eibishter, heal me of what? For the sickness, the illness that is a result of having abandoned the source of living waters. And what is that? The Ainu Azivas Atera Mitzvahs, Shnikroim Hashem Mayim Chayim, abandoning Torah mitzvahs which are called living water. And what's the Refuah? The Atshuva. The healing is Teshuvah. Shnikras B'Shem Refuah, as the Gemara says, Teshuvah is called healing, greatest tshuva for brings healing to the world, says the Gemara. What do you mean by tshuva? Not only tshuva on actual chatoim and avenis. Rather, shegam kasher ha'odem mekayim Torah mitzvahs, even if he's doing Torah mitzvahs. Ela shavidose became a Torah mitzvahs. But the way he does his avodah is it's not connected with this level called Eson. Eson means mighty rock. It's not connected in invincible rock. It's not connected. Tanya, the word Tanya, right, is the same letters as the word Eson. Eson was a little later, goes in the Etzem and the Shami Yechidah. So if the avodah and Tanya Chassidus is to reveal that, because the statement that Rebbe begins Tanya with is actually not a Braisa. It's not Tanya. It's a statement from an Amoira. Okay, there is a Girsa, I think, that says Tanya, but it's not the common Girsa. Bidavke wanted to start with the word Tanya because the whole yin of Chassidus is to Megala, the Eson of the Neshama. So it's another reason there is a klippa, which is called Tanya, a unique klippa that seeks to prevent Talmidei Chachamim from learning Pnimius HaTorah. Brought in Kabbalah. So by starting Tanya with Tanya, the Rebbe seeks to break that klippa and to be mekadev Talmidei Chachamim to Chassidus. At any rate, so what is he saying here? That when the avodah is not connected with Eson Sheben Neshama, tshuva is required. As I then, tzorich l'refuah tshuva, we need healing tshuva. Mi'alderech mavu b'sichas kviktushis morevacham yadmur. Similar to what's explained in the sichas of the Frierdiker Rebbe, a particular sikh of Achim Shapesach, he says, of Tofresh Tzadik Dalet, 1934. Dibur HaMaschil, the sikh begins with Dibur HaMaschil. Mashiach osel asovet tzaddikai b'tshuva, that's in the Kotei Diburim, that Mashiach will make the tzaddikim do tshuva, meaning that tshuva is shayach on many levels. Shgam tzaddik gomor, so what's the tshuva of tzaddik gomor? So he says there, Keshem is battle mitoyer mitzad heder abriyas. The tzaddik gomor is not learning Torah because of lack of health, it's prevented. Even though the reason that he didn't learn is because of lack of health. In Yiddish, the matter is missing. The avodah is missing. So even the tzaddik, the shaykh thinking of tshuva. There's also other levels and answers to this question, how is shaykh tshuva by tzaddikim, but this is one in like, and it's likewise the Beinin, he was perfect in Torah and mitzvahs, is also shaykh tshuva. And how is that? So by a Beinin, it's enough, the Alter Rebbe says and brings from Hilchos Talmud Torah, that a person, of course, while he's learning, cannot be thinking constantly about Hashem. He's got to understand what he's learning. So it's enough to have the kavanah that he's learning Hashem's Torah at the beginning of his study. Therefore, what? And when the Beinani ascends to a higher level of his appreciation of the Eibishter, relative to his Madrega now, the learning that he learned till now is relatively not for the sake of heaven, because the Eibishter that he knows now is far beyond, was beyond his appreciation of him previously. And therefore, tzarich tshuva, and he needs tshuva. Again, like the story we always repeat of Sajigon and the innkeeper. So say that tshuva, so yeshna beis and yonim, so this is all to say that this pasuk Refoeini avai ve'arfah is all a tshuva for leaving the Mekir, Mayim Chayim, lacking avodah connected to the Eisam Sheben Neshama, and all the levels of tshuva just outlined. So the tshuva has these two pratim. So we say that tshuva yashlam beis inyonim, in tshuva itself, there's two inyonim, the Refoeini, Havaya, that's one level, and Ve'arfah, that's another level. And what is that? Refoeini, Havaya, he heal me, Hashem. What is that? Similar to the previous Maamar, we asked the Eibishter to arouse us to do tshuva. That like Yosef aroused the brothers to do tshuva, we're asking the Eibishter to arouse us. So that's Refoeini Havaya. The Ve'arfah, and I will be healed. The tshuva, the Odom, that's the actual tshuva. So it's not repetitious. The first, they've answered the question, in outline at least, that the Refoeini Havaya is in Sinas Koyach, the request, and Ve'arfah is the actual avodah. And likewise, the two inyanim of save me and I'll be saved. Save me is the empowerment, which is to be explained what this inyan is. And vivasheya, and I'll be saved, is the avodah. And then you have the simakos, the conclusion of the pasuk, kisi hilasi oto, for you are my prey. Sheideis and nazim beis inyanim. It's this inyan to be explained in the course of the Maamar of Hilasi oto, that allows the two inyonim to happen, namely Refoeini Havaya and Ve'arfah. During the Sinas Koyach should lead to my avodah, and I'll be healed Kedlakamon, as the Rebbe will explain in the course of the Maamar. Yeah, we're good? Yeah. Most of you are hiding behind.
Yes.
Yeah. So now we're going to, this will be understood by first examining the lashon of the pasuk said, Yirmiyahu laments the fact that ki ozvu mekoir mayim chayim esavaya, that they abandoned the living waters of Hashem for the transient, the shattered, and the broken. Shemedam shemavaya lemoker mayim chayim dafke. That the Novi is comparing Shemavaya to the source of living waters, Dafke. What is this inyan? What is meant by the source of Mayim Chayim? The matter is as follows. It says in Kehelas, it's a very famous pasuk, right? All the rivers flow to the sea, but the sea doesn't become full. And the pasuk concludes, and then they return, they enter into the sea and they return, they flow out. What does it mean they flow out? So Rashi says, and the mitzvah does David, they go in the water flows in tunnels, under the earth, and then they flow again, and so the cycle continues. It seems to flow again back into the ocean. So the Nimtza comes out, there are 3 levels to the water. Aleph, the first level is as they are rivers, streams. Then they're revealed. That's revealed water. Then there's our base, the second level, when they go and flow, become mixed with the waters of the ocean, and from there flow in the subterranean channels. So that then the water is concealed in the ocean, and then in the under the mechilas, the subterranean pathways. And then Vagimel, the third level, when they again flow again in a revealed way, Begiloi, Al Yedei Mayona is having come from the springs underground. So 3 levels. Bekitzer, what are the 3 levels? First revealed, streams, rivers, then concealed in the ocean and in the subterranean channels, and then revealed again through the well springs. It seems, I don't want to be medayik too much.
Aren't they revealed when they go back into the ocean?
No, going into the ocean conceals them. They're revealed in their flow back into the ocean. They come out from the earth where they have joined with, he says, with the well springs, and then the rivers start again and flow. And then again into the ocean. He said the ocean and the underground tunnels, that's concealment. Be clear? So revealed is the stream, the river. Concealed is when it merges with the water, and then in the underground tunnels, that's 2. And 3, revealed again as rivers having come from underground and the well springs underground. That's what he says. And it's noteworthy to point out, so in the Maamar of the Fidik Rebbe, which the Rebbe instructed we should learn to understand what he's saying, he actually divides and identifies 4 stages. Aleph, he starts off with what? Not revelation, but he starts off with the source of the wellspring concealed. That's the first level. Then the water that flows from the wellspring, that's the river, the stream, that's revelation. Then Gimel 3, and then the water as it flows via the rivers to the ocean, and then get to the ocean. And there they're concealed. And Dalet hachayzim, the water that returns, they bikiyasa offer through, literally bursting through, traveling through the earth. V'nasim mayonos hanoivim, and then they become flowing well springs. Shem Giloy, that they are revealed. So what does he say? The Rebbe, what are the four things? Number one, concealment in the spring. Two, flows out, revealed. That's the river, the stream. Three, in the ocean, concealed. Four, coming out then through the well springs and in a revealed way. That's beprati is the Rebbe. But in general, there's three stages: Giloy, Helem, Vegiloy. Revealed, concealed, and revealed. Okay, that's what we need to know. If I say the order is Giloy Habeis, the revelation that comes at the end of the water, having gone into the ocean and then traveling through the underground, subterranean channels and emerging. Hunaili Yosim Megillah Aleph is a higher level than the original river that flowed. Then the water is elevated to a higher state. Meaning, in addition, not only through the fact that the water literally pierces through and travels through. Gidei afarot means the gid is veins, the veins of the earth, and because it travels through the veins of the earth, the stratas, the stratas of different levels of earth and kinds of earth. Took in this sweetens the water. Unlike the water, once it entered into the ocean, became salty, and now it's purified. In addition to that, there's this is the level that the Navi spoke about. As a result of this whole journey, the waters become mayim chayim. They weren't living waters before. At the outset, they were rivers. Then they flowed into the ocean, the salty ocean. And then they traveled through the underground and emerged. Not only are they purified from the salt, but they are even higher than the original water that flowed into the ocean. So this is all the moshel kamekin gam given gam lamailo. So likewise about being in the mayim chaim esavaya. The Navi says that you forsook the source of living mayim chaim avaya. Haino, he's saying Shishim, the Navi is saying Shishim avaya nikra mokir mayim chaim. That Shem avaya is referred to as the source of living waters. What does this mean? He now explains. What's Shem Havaya? So this is revelation of the Eibishter, past, present, and future, all fused together as one, without any change at all, unaffected by the vicissitudes of time. I am God, I have not changed. Havaya, higher than time and space. This is a level which is constant, being bakbolis and no limits. So what's this emotional for? This is the actual wellspring, the essence of the wellspring. That is not measured at all by quantity. Because in halacha we have shalikol gam kolshu choshev mayin. When it comes to the laws of mikveh, a person immerses in the mikveh. So a mikveh of stationary water, of collected water. I don't mean station, but collected, manifested water, even a river, etc. So you have to have a certain minimum requirement, memsa. But a mayin, immersing in the mayin, the smallest amount is metired. If you get even the smallest drop in theory to cover the whole body, is Toher. So all to say that the etzem hamayim, the essence of the wellspring, is not limited to quantity. The tiniest amount conveys absolute tahara. And even though the spring only issues forth drop by drop, it's a limitation. Nonetheless, it's constant. Perhaps we'll explain why it's only drop by drop. At any rate, the key is that it's constant. And that's why the wellspring is the dugma of Hashem Havaya. Past, present, and future all at once. Shein bak bolus, in which there is no limits for betimidas, and he is constant. So that's the union of what? That is the union of Hashem Havaya. Moker mayim chayim, the wellspring. But then there's another madrega. But then there's a level, there's a lower level of Shem Havaya, where Shem Havaya is the creator. Maloshen Mahava, implied by the word Havaya, brings into being, Mahava. So that's already a level that's invested in creation, not transcendent like the essence of Shem Havaya, past, present, and future all is one, but here, creator. And in creation, of course, there are three levels, and we're going to see these correspond to the three levels of water we described above. Again, the river, then entering the ocean, that's one, entering the ocean, and then the subterranean tunnels, that is two, and then three, emerging from these tunnels, and he calls that Mayim Chayim. We just said a moment ago that Mayim Chayim is Shem Havaya, higher than even creation. We'll see. Since the three levels of, you understand the question? Bri, Yitzir, Vasiya, Mayim, these correspond to the three levels of the water. He now explains. Are we following? Yeah. It's just outlines now. It's technical. No hasbaras yet, really. A little bit starting now. So the first level of the water, he said, was what? Was the revealed river. Reveal, conceal, reveal. So Elam Abriya b'chinas hagiloi. Elam Abriya is, relatively speaking, a world of revelation. Shemeir by Gilal, cause that godliness is revealed there. Because Shari Elam Abriya b'chinas efshiri amitzias bilvad. Even though we call it creation, but Elam Abriya is not hardcore actual creation. It's not the emergence of a distinct separate being. The level of Bria, it's Efshiri HaMetzias Bilbad. It's the potential for Metzias. It's a very nebula Metzias. Nebula and thoroughly nullified with its source. As it goes on to say, because it's the first entity, the closest to the creative force, which is called Ayin, nothing, meaning no thing tied to creation. So since it's so close and it's the first thing that creation that the ayin brings into being, therefore, that first level of Bria is not a formed and hardcore creation with hardcore limits and defined boundaries. It's all very nebula and all very fluid, the appropriate term. Elam Abriya is only a level where from this they could emerge Metzias. It's the potential for Metzias existence, meaning separation. But it straddles, it's in between. Actual separation, it's not creator, it's created, but it's like the mamutza between the creative force and actual creation. So he says, and he adds now detail, it's only the potential for whom it's at base time, for two reasons. For a reason malamayla lamata and a reason malamata lamayla. Mitzad ayin, from the perspective of the ayin shereishi say savas mayin ein mitzias gemura, the very first creation, because things follow in a logical sequence. The very first creation from the ayin, it's not from nothing to absolute creation, absolute independent separation. There's a process, an evolution. So the very first step is not a mitzias gemura. So the ayin, in its first stage of creation, first creates a nebulous state, and then a formed state, elam hayitzirah. Gam mitzad yesh, in the perspective of the created being, there is a yesh here. And because he's so close, he feels the truth of the creative force illuminating him. Therefore, he's in a state of bittul. In a state of bittul, they don't feel themselves as independent because they're so close. From their perspective, what's the difference between the two? It's a little bit, but at any rate, it's really saying one thing. Just read the words now. Is only the potential for Metzias, beingness, something other than Elikus. Therefore, Lemabriya is a stage where godliness is revealed and patently manifesting what it has produced. There's no sense of separation, it's all fluid. And that's the first level of the water described above, the Nechalim, the rivers that flow into the ocean. Tomorrow we'll continue with Eilam HaYetzirah, and then the paradox of Eilam HaSiyah, which he said is the Mayim Chayim. We'll see that Be'ez Hashem tomorrow. Today, story. Yeah, so we're clear. It was good. Yeah.
Why don't you finish the ice?
Finish the ice. I mean, I got time. Okay. Because the guys are home at the shul. I don't know. Okay, we'll go a bit further. We can finish the ice. It's no longer that big chiddush of something from nothing. Yitzira emerges from Bria. Bria is a yesh, a quasi yesh, and Bria therefore then devolves into Yitzira, a formed, defined existence. So it's not yesh ma'ayin, kim yesh miyesh. And therefore, v'kivin she'ein meir b'ya'ayin, the source that is beyond the infinite, relatively infinite creative source, is not illuminated in Yitzira. So the result is, he doesn't feel this bittul, he feels its independence. And here's where multiplicity emerges, of Agbola and limitation. So that's concealment. That's the water flowing into the ocean and the underground subterranean tunnels. Concealment. Because the ayin is so removed from it, via the intermediary of the quasi-yesh, which is Bria. And then Olam HaSiyah, now comes the paradox, the furthest and the removed. And yet no, the water emerges after coming from the subterranean tunnels, and it's revealed. He said, not only is it purifying from the salt, and mind you, it has all these nutrients in it, it is Mayim Chayim. Because so the say that is the pasuk says, Kol hanikra b'shmi u'lechvaydi, that's Elamatzilas, Barosiv, Yetzartiv, Afasisiv, indeed I have formed it. What's the Af? Shemard b'chinas reviyas, the word Af is adding a fourth component. Not only do we have Asiyah here, not only the end result is a physical yesh, or even Asiyah Ruchni, which is, Asiyah Ruchni is the energy that's invested in the yesh hagashmi, but there's the Af. Af comes to add something. There's another quality, and an Af, by the way, Pei Aleph, Tafshin Pei Aleph. Indeed, something startling. And what's that? That Dafke Eilam HaSiyah is revealed a higher property in Eilam HaBriya than even Eilam HaBriya, which we call the Efshari HaMetzias. So this is a revelation that comes after concealment that's higher than the original revelation that was its first stage of the whole metamorphosis. That's the third stage. Like the water, it's only when it comes back through the earth, then so that's going to be explained in great depth. The chidush of Kadela Masi is Mayim Chayim. We think it's the furthest, but Daphne the Masiya is the Mayim Chayim, the Navi laments that has been you've abandoned. So Be'ez Hashem to see, we'll continue that tomorrow. Yeah, we've got a general outline we're following.